My name is Luiz Veiga. I'm Ashtanga yoga teacher, and this is my philosophy behind my teaching. The meaning of the word yoga is union. Union between the physical world and the spiritual world. The word Ashtanga refers to what yoga as a whole is divided by. It means 8 limbs. Poses or asana is just one of those limbs. It's very important to learn what those limbs are and how to combine as many of them as possible to your yoga practice. So you turn to something more meaningful and soulful. The practice of Ashtanga Vinyasa yoga was discovered in 1900, and when arriving in the West in the early 70s, some students started to question why this series was so methodic and repetitive, and why they should follow the sequence in that particular order. The biggest challenge of the practice of yoga is to be present. And if you're present, even if you do something 10 times, every time should feel unique. So there is never repetition. Some practitioners decide to change the sequence for many reasons. One of them is because they didn't know why they shouldn't change. But often practitioners avoid the asanas that are either too easy or too difficult. Challenges are there for a reason, and it's not for us to run away from. Sometimes, instead of exploring and investigate, it is much easier to run away from what we don't like or what you don't understand and change to something more comforting or easy. And when we change the sequence, it becomes a different practice. So they need to change its name. Nowadays, there are many different types of dynamic yoga based on Ashtanga. One of the main differences between them and Ashtanga is that there is not a memorable sequence anymore, and there is no emphasis on the 8 limbs of yoga. They are, in most cases, a practice based on one limb only, the physical or the asana practice. In my opinion, some of these modern variations of Ashtanga yoga lost the connection to the spiritual side of yoga by placing too much emphasis on the physical side of the practice. Practicing yoga as a meditation rather than a physical exercise allows you to become present in the moment. There are 4 elements that are really important during the practice. The first one is the sequence of postures that we need to learn with a good teacher. You learn how to memorize to the point of having no concern about what comes next, as it will come naturally. Then you have breathing. The breathing should be even and steady. And the breathing is there to help you to connect every single movement and every single moment of the sequence in a precise manner. Then you have drishti, the 9 places of focus, the point of your gaze. And finally, bandhas, the energy locks that should be engaged throughout the practice. When we use these 4 elements together, your practice will turn to something else. A soulful practice will take you to a different place. Within the philosophy of yoga, there's a relation to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Yoga was originally created as a tool to get us out of that cycle of repetition of life, death, and rebirth, to the point that when we die, we can go to heaven or nirvana, and you don't have to come back and live life again. I believe that our souls evolve by experiencing different challenges in different lives, allowing us to grow spiritually. Yoga is a tool which can be used to bring clarity and a better sense of purpose and direction in life. Something for our mind, our soul and body. If you imagine the cycle of life, death and rebirth, on the section of life on that cycle, we all go through pretty much the same process. We are all born in a particular time. We live our lives through a series of moments and challenges, and eventually we will come to an end. But every challenge that we go through in life helps to build our character. It gives us experiences and directions in life. It makes us who we are. And if you look back in your past, especially to the challenging moments we have been through in life, you will see that there were consequences to those moments and life took different turns. They all led to something else. So all of those turns of direction that we all go through in life, they were caused by those challenges. They are all part of our path towards our destiny. So eventually, when we understand the challenges are necessary for our development as human beings, the challenges loses its negativity. And we learn how to embrace a challenge for what it is. And we learn how to see beyond the challenge. Sometimes the outcome of a challenge is not necessarily what we want, but it's exactly what we need. And time always tells. Thanks to your past, you find yourself where you are now. I believe that the practice of Ashtanga Yoga is a reflection of life. If you look at the first asana of the series, Tadasana, it represents you being born or appearing in the planet. The following sequence are representations of the first few moments and challenges that you have in your life. And as you get older, it gets more and more interesting. And at the very end, you find Shavasana, the corpse pose, representing the end of life. When you understand the practice in this way, the practice will teach you how to flow during each of those challenges without allowing you to pick what you like or what you don't like, by teaching you how to be present, how to practice with intention, and how to be happy with what you're able to do, regardless of you losing your balance and falling, or being able to bind in a particular asana. Because Ashtanga Yoga is not about that. Ashtanga Yoga is about how you approach your practice with intention, acceptance, presence, and love. Basic things we need to have in life to be able to live a meaningful life.